Hello fellow coin collectors, this is Glenn back with another video, and today we're going to talk about the effects of a recession on coin mintages that have happened in the past. So as you can see at the start, I have the Royal Australian Mint mintage figures for coin issues, but first we need to have a look at the recessions that have actually occurred in Australia in the past. So here we have a very good article from The Conversation written by John Hawkins, but I'm not going to go through this article. What I actually want is a graph in the article. Okay, so this is economic growth in Australia since the 1960s, and I'm only going to use the decimal coinage. I will make another video on pre-decimal coinage and what happens during times of recession. So we're only talking about 1966 onwards, and as you can see, we have the bars that go below the line are contractions, so they are recessions. Economic growth is pretty much a recession, is negative economic growth, so a contraction. And all the other years are actually economic growth, and as you can see, most years are economically very good for people, but then we have economic downturns. And while, what's the percentage? So we've got -5, so we've got probably minus, for the first one, -1%. That's in 1974, and that was an economic recession caused by stagflation and economic prices that actually increased, but there was no growth in the economy. Then we have the early 1980s, so that's probably 1982. That's about 2%, 2 to 3%, looks like. And then we have the recession that we had to have, as Paul Keating suggested. That was also minus probably 1.5%. That was in the 1991. So we've got three regions. So we have 1974, 82, and 1991. And then we have the economic contraction that's happened now. Have a look at that, 15%. That bar probably goes down. Then you got economic forecast from the IMF. I think that's probably exaggerated, although looking at the economic contraction that we've had now, the IMF forecast might not be exaggerated. We're going to actually have to wait and see. So those are the three regions we need to have a look at in the mintage figures. So let's have a look at the unemployment rate. So the unemployment rate is about 15%. That's a high figure. And these figures from Roy Morgan, a lot of people say, are more reflective of the reality of the Australian economy. And as you can see, if you go down, you can see there is another graph. Percentage of workforce. This actually doesn't work too well on my mobile phone. So anyway, let's have a look at the mintage figures. And if we look at the 1 cent coin, so we look at 1972, and you can see there was a small contraction in 1972. So we're looking at 1974, and there was no change in the actual mintage figures. And that's what I probably would have expected to see, a small change, but there are caveats. So first of all, we have the high mintages in the 1960s for the introduction of currency, and we also saw this with the 1984-85 $1 coin and the 1988-89 $2 coin, in that for a few years after the initial mintages and releases, there was a massive drop in the actual mintage of subsequent years. So as you notice, no 1991 coin minted. 1990 to pretty much 1999 is pretty much a low year for $2 coins. For $1 coins, there's no 1987, 89, 90, 91, 92, and they just started minting coins again in 1993. They did issue one in 1986 for a commemorative coin, but that was probably just dumped into circulation because it celebrated something. And if we have a look at the 2-cent coin, so we go up here, circulating coins, 2 cents. And if we have a look at 1974 and years afterwards, you can see 1974 actually has 2 mintages. So you've got Perth Mint and Royal Australian Mint. So it doesn't seem to be that there is actually a drop in mintages. There's actually an increase. So if we see 1966 and 67 had a large mintage, then 68 they dropped off because obviously there was no real demand for coins. 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. And have a look. 74 they actually increased, but 75 is also the same. So there is no drop in demand for 2-cent coins. There's probably an increased demand because of a probably slightly increase in population, but also a lot of these coins probably would have been lost or damaged and they need to be replaced in the previous economic expansion that we actually see. And also since 1975 economic expansion as well. So if we go to 1982, as you can see, after 1982, 1983 is pretty high mintage. 84 and 85, 86 and 87. Obviously the mintage drops out because of the economic impact of the recession. And 86 and 87 they decided not to actually issue coins. And then slowly after that they build them up. And 1989, so we don't have a reflection of the 1991 recession. For that we need to go up and have a look at the other coin, the 5-cent coin. So 60 in the 60s high mintage, early 70s low mintage, reflecting that there was enough coins in circulation. Okay, 74 the mintage is pretty high. 75 it drops, and the years after that it increases and then it drops again. So this doesn't reflect an impact of the recession. If you look at pre-decimal coins from the 1930s era, so around about 1930, you'll see that there's a massive drop in coins that were actually minted. A lot of, I think the sixpence, I can't remember off my head. So certain coins have a drop in mintage from 1928 to 1934. It's like 6 years. But you have to remember, they also had silver in the actual coins. And these ones are all just base metal, so the values actually would have been a lot lower than the actual silver coins. So 1982, you can see the economic impact of 1982. They still minted coins in 83, but 84 dropped off. 85 and 86, there was no demand because the economic recession had an impact on that. So a lot of the 1982, 83 coins probably would have been just kept in storage and would have been released later. That's also another thing. Also another caveat is that today's mintages will also be skewed from electronic payments. So electronic payments would actually affect the number of coins in circulation because you don't need coins or banknotes to actually pay for things. So that is definitely going to have a more of an impact on the number of coins issued than a recession. because in a recession they just bounce back with the number of coins in circulation. But with electronic payments, the more people pay for electronic payments, the less they use coins, so the less coins are actually going to be produced for circulation. Then we had 1991. So you can see 1991, it was a slight reduction, but then it increased again. So that doesn't reflect a bad economic impact on the 5-cent coin. And 2000 is actually quite a high mintage. So 210s is actually a low mintage. And for the past 15 years anyway, mintages have been going down, probably because of electronic payments, as I explained before. So now we go to the 10-cent coin. Key 10-cent coin. And if we have a look, 60 is a high mintage. Then we get into the 70s, 71, 72, reflecting a high mintage. 74. And after 74, mintages remain pretty constant except for 77, so there was no demand. Obviously 75, 76 and 74 actually covered that demand in circulation. And then we have 80s. So we've got 1981, 82. Have a look at how many coins are actually minted. 81 was a massive minting of coins. And as you can see, Royal Mint London and the Royal Australian Mint for 1981. So then after that, after the 1981 economic recession, we see, or 1982, see there's a drop off in actual mintage. So 86, 87, there's no demand for coins, reflecting probably the effects of the recession on the economy and probably the storing of coins. Then it built up again. 91, virtually no demand at all. Then it picked up again in 82, 83, but not really that high. 85, 86. So the coins from 82, 83, 84 probably hoarded as well because there was no demand in the economy for them and then released into circulation. Then we have 87. Then we have pickup in demand for actual coins in the 2000s. In the 2000s, because of so many coins, it reflected the 2011 10-cent coin for low mintage. But then it built up again. And as you can see, it's actually gone down. So, let's have a look at the 20-cent coin. Okay. Yeah. So you need to remember, this is just a reflection of the recession's impact on coin mintages. So 1974, so we have a pretty good mintage. No, because the 1960s had a high mintage, so it actually went down in the 1969 to 1973. Pretty low mintage. There's enough coins. Then they had to actually build up coins again. So the 1974 recession doesn't seem to have impacted that much on the number of coins in circulation, most likely because there was a initial mintage of a lot of coins, and then there was a contraction in mintage because there was enough coins in circulation for previous years. And then by 1974 they actually had to mint a lot more coins for circulation because there was not enough in circulation despite the actual recession. And then we go to 1982, a lot of coins, 76 million 20-cent pieces. And then you can see a reduction. So it decreases because we do have coins from previous years in circulation. Then 1986, 87, there was no coins. 88, then there was just no demand for coins. You have to remember, the 20-cent coin from 1981, 82 were not issued in 1981, 82, but were issued in 1990. So if we look, we only have the coins from the 70s and 80s in the actual 80s in circulation. Then 1990, yeah, no coins actually issued in 1981 and 82 coins. The 83 and 84 were never released for circulation. And then we see there's a slight pickup in the 90s. So that reflects all the coins from 1981-82 issued. There was no real demand for coins. So in 1991 they issued previous coins, and that had an effect on the later mintage of coins. So the 1982 recession did affect the number of coins of 20 cent that were needed for circulation, because obviously they did mint a lot of coins, but there was just no demand for them. And that continued on into the 90s to around 99 when they started ramping up production again. So it was like 20 years, because of the consecutive economic recessions, have dampened the number of coins that were actually needed for circulation. Now we have 50 cents. So for a lot of the period, this is the actual highest denomination. So we won't worry about the 1966 because they disappeared in 1967. Then we have the 1969, 70, and 71 high mintages, probably enough for circulation. 72 low, 3 and 4 low. Then they actually increased production, although not too high. For a 50 cent coin, actually pretty high actually. So the 1974 recession actually didn't impact the actual number of coins needed. Then we go to 1982. Look, 59,600,000. Then 83, 84. And because of the recession at that time period, obviously there was no demand for coins, so they just stopped producing them. From 85, and as you can see, there's a lot of years are actually missing. Then we had the 1991 recession, and there's still no demand for coins, so they just didn't worry about minting that many, except for some commemoratives. Then the normal one started resuming in 96, but there's still a lot of them are actually low mintage, and they didn't actually pick up until 2000s. So for 20 years there's actually pretty low mintage of actual 50 cent coins. And 41 and $2, we can't actually see the 70s, just the 82 and 91 recession. So let's have a look. Then we have the initial release. So the recession would have impacted this in the number that actually got released, but all these would have had to replace the $1 banknote. And initially, after the release, there was no need for new coins. And then we had 91, and 91 is when we had the recession, and obviously there wasn't that much demand for coins, but it did pick up quite clearly. So that recession actually didn't dampen the $1 coin too much in the subsequent years, but at the time period it actually did. Probably delay the introduction of a lot of more $1 coins, but as there was initial large mintage of coins, it actually would have masked the impact of the economic recession. And that's the only one we have for that. So, and then the last one denomination is the $2, in which we can only affect the not by the 1991 recession. So we have an initial impact of the large amount of coins in the 1980s. That would have masked the 1991 recession, but obviously they didn't produce them. Initially because they wouldn't have needed coins for circulation, but the recession would have actually sent a lot of coins back to vaults, and this is reflected in the 1990s, which is pretty low mintage for pretty much a lot of coins. Then we have the 2000s, in which it picked up 99, 74 million, so quite a lot of coins. And in 2009 should I say, mintage was actually released over 2 years to 2011 and 12, and that is reflected in the low mintage of coins in those years. In 2013 actually picked up again. So what I think this year's recession is going to do, it's just going to actually smash the number of coins needed for circulation in high denominations. So the 5 and 10 cent will probably still be kicking along a bit. They'll probably issue quite a few coins, probably in the 5 cent, probably about 20 million, something like that. This is just an educated guess. I'm definitely going to be wrong because I don't know how many they will actually produce until after the fact. 10 cent, probably not really that much at all. 20 cent, probably a few, 20 million. 50 cent, probably not much. There's just no demand for 50 cent coins. $1 and $2, there's actually quite a lot of coins issued in the past, so I believe that they'll also be low mintages. And it'll probably pick up probably 21 or 22. But as you can see from what I've shown, the low mintages are not really impacted that much by recession. The high mintages are, but they are actually also obscured from the high mintages that happened before the actual recession, and then the low mintages for the 1960s and 70s coin, and then actually had to increase the mintages. But if we look at the coin mintages of the United States and also of the early 1930s Australia, it actually shows a clear correlation between recession and actual coin mintages produced in circulation. So it does actually drop off and then pick up again when times get better. But anyway, this is what I think. I think this year's going to be a low mintage year, and probably so next year as well. You can see the 2017 is pretty low. 18s is pretty low, so mintage figures are actually pretty low anyway. And it's just going to make it worse with the impact of the electronic payments as well. So anyway, I know this is a bit of a long video, but I just wanted to make it. I hope you enjoy it. If there's any confusion, please leave a comment down below, and just enjoy coin collecting. It's okay to make money, but if you don't enjoy it, then it's not really worth actually doing it. So thank you very much, and have an awesome coin collecting time. Thank you, and bye bye.